Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. This is the third part that we are going to do. This is 5.1c, and we're going to talk about conversions. In Schoology, I put a PDF of a conversion chart. You are going to want to probably have that available, so make sure you have the conversion chart. Also, you are going to need your notebook and a pencil for you to take notes. So you can pause the video and get those two things. Here is what the conversion chart looks like. The first part of it has customary conversions. We're talking feet, yards, miles. We're talking ounces and pounds and tons. Capacity, which is ounces, cups, pints, quarts, and gallons. And then, of course, time, which I hope you know. But then there's also the metric conversion. And this is the one that you're going to need the most because this is the one usually students are least familiar with. We're going to be going from centimeters down to meters. We're also going to be talking about millimeters. So you want to have these available for you. So does size really matter? When we're talking about our ratios, it does. Here's an example. Ryan, a basketball player, is 6 feet tall. His friend Steve, who is shorter, is 60 inches tall. Ryan says that the ratio between his height and Steve's height is 6 to 60. Is 6 to 60 the best way to describe the relationship between Ryan's and Steve's height? If we look at the numbers just the way that they are, we're thinking that Ryan is 6 feet or inches and Steve is 60. So this makes it look like Steve is taller. But the fact of the matter is he's not, because here we're dealing with inches, here we're dealing with feet. So what we need to do is put them into the same measurement. And because inches is shorter or smaller, we're going to use inches. So Steve's height we can leave as inches. Ryan's height, however, we need to change. He's 6 feet. There are 12 inches in a foot. So he has a total of 72 inches. This is a much better comparison or ratio because we're dealing with the same measurement. And of course, what we would do is I would divide these by 12, which means Ryan is 6 and Steve is actually 5. So here would be that same thing in feet. As long as they are the same measurement, we can work with it. So we're going to do some examples together. Here is what you could put into your notes, ratios with measurement. When a ratio involves measurements, both quantities have to have the same unit of measure. When they're different, you must convert one unit to another. It's usually easier to convert the large to the smaller quantity. So we're going to do some practices. So if you need to, pause the video to get this into your notes. This is what I want into your notes. Pause it and write it, and then we'll do some examples. Okay, write each ratio in simplest form. We have 1 foot to 4 inches. We're going to go down to inches. So 4 stays the same. 1 times 12 inches gives me 12. There's our correct measurement now. Now we're both into inches. However, we need to simplify it. So I'm going to divide them both by 4. I get 3 to 1. There is my answer. Let's do number 12. 28 inches to feet. Again, we're going to go with inches. So I'm going to start with 28. 3 feet times 12 inches in a foot, that gives me 36. There's my correct ratio. Let's see, we're going to divide by 4. I think 4 goes into both of these. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 36 divided by 4 is 9. There is our correct ratio. Notice I'm doing the same things for each one, the same steps. So number 13, 2 feet to 2 yards. Feet is smaller. So 2 feet, 2 yards. There's 3 feet in a yard. 2 times 3 is 6, so we have 2 to 6. That's our correct ratio. We're going to simplify it. I'm going to divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. There is our correct ratio in simplest form. Let's do the next one, number 14, yards to inches. We're going to go with inches, so I can keep the 30 inches. 4 yards times 3 feet, that's 12 feet, but I want inches, that's times 12. That gives me 144 inches. Simplify it. Now, this one's a little bit tricky, but I think I'm going to go with 6. 30 divided by 6 is 5. 144 divided by 6, definitely use a calculator if you need to. That gives you 24. That is our ratio in simplest form. It's going to take you a couple of steps, so don't try to skip steps if you don't have to. Let's do centimeters to meters. Centimeters is our smaller one, so I'm going to do 200 to 5 meters. There's 100 centimeters in each meter, so that gives me 500. That's my correct ratio, but let's simplify it. I'm going to divide by 100. It's going to make it real easy. 2 to 5. There is my ratio in simplest form. Let's do number 16. Here we have kilometers and meters. Definitely going to go with meters. So I have 72. If you look at your conversion chart, it actually tells you how many meters are in a kilometer. So there's 1,000. So 2 kilometers times 1,000 meters. That gives me 2,000. There's our correct ratio. We need to simplify it. And to simplify it down, I'm going to divide by 8. 72 divided by 8 is 9. 2,000 divided by 8 is 250. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our ratio in simplest form. Do some practicing. If you have to start out with 2,000 to 72 and divide it by 2 first, that gives you 1,000, and that gives you 36. Then you have to divide it by 2 again. That gives you 500. That gives you 18. Divide it by 2 again. That gives you 250. That gives you 9. We end up with the same thing. It just took you a couple extra steps. That is just fine. It's not a big deal at all. Let's do some more. Here is 6 more. If you want to try and do it on your own, pause the video, do it on your paper, and then come back and see how you did. Let's start with number 17, 4 cups to 8 pints. And I'm going to go with cups, that's smaller. So 4, 2, I have 8 pints. There is 2 cups in each pint, so that gives me 16. There we go. I'm going to simplify it. Divide both of them by 4. That gives me 1 to 4. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my answer in simplest form. If you notice, I'm doing the same steps over and over again. Let's start with ounces. So I'm going to do 24. There is 3 pounds, and in each pound, there is 16 ounces, so 16 times 3 is 48, so 48 ounces there. Simplify it. Let's see, I can divide both of these, I think, by 8. Ooh, no, 24. That would be an even better idea, because 24 goes into 48 twice, goes into 24 once. There is my answer in simplest form. I could have started with 8. I would have done a couple extra steps, but it still would have gotten me to the same point. 2 gallons to 10 quarts. So we're going to use quarts as our smallest one. 2 gallons. And in each gallon, there's 4 quarts. So that gives me 8 quarts. So there is my correct number. Simplify it. I'm going to divide by 2. That gives me 4 to 5. And that is my correct simplest form ratio. Number 20, pints and gallons. Pints is our smallest. So 3 to... We're going to do a couple extra steps. I have 4 gallons times 4 quarts. That gives me 16. But in each quart, there's 2 pints. So that gives me 32. Now, if I look at this, I don't have a number that I can divide both 3 and 32 by. So that is my simplest form. So let's go on to number 21. Quarts and gallons. Quarts being the smallest one. So I'm going to do 4 quarts. I have 6 gallons. And there's 4 quarts in each gallon. So that makes it 24. So 4 to 24. Definitely can simplify this. I'm going to divide it by 4. That gives me 1 to 6. That is my ratio in simplest form. Same steps over and over again. I hope you're seeing the repetition here. Cups to gallons. So 6 cups. Here we go. We're going to start out with gallons. I have 2 gallons, 4 quarts each one. So that gives me 8 quarts. Pints. There's 2 pints in each one. So that gives me 16. And there's 2 cups in each pint. So that gives me a total of 32. Excuse me, 6 to 32. Definitely can simplify here. I am going to divide by 2. That looks like what I can do. See if I have to do this again. 3 to 16. Nope. That is the lowest form it can go. One more page of practice. Again, now we have 5 of them. 4 problems and a word problem. If you want to try and do it on your own, go ahead and pause the video and do them on your own and then check your work. Otherwise, we're going to do the same 3 steps each time. Speaking of time, that's what our first one is. Minutes to hours. I'm going to take our minutes. We have 28 minutes. 1 hour is 60 minutes. So there's our correct ratio with the same measurement of time. I can simplify this. Let's see. I could do 2, which would give me 14 and 30. I can do 2 again, which gives me 7 to 15. I think that's it. So 7 to 15 is my ratio in simplest form. Minutes to seconds. Seconds being our smallest one. So 3 minutes times 60 seconds. I have 180. So 180 seconds to 48 seconds. There's our correct ratio. So let's simplify it. Let's start by dividing by 2. That gives me 90 and 24. Let's do by 6. I think 6 goes in to 90. Again, use a calculator if you have to. That gives me 15 and 4. And I believe that is the smallest that it will go. Number 25, 8 hours to 2 days. Hours is our smallest, so we're going to start with 8. 2 days times 24, that gives me 48. There's our correct ratio using the same time measurement. I can divide by 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 48 divided by 8 is 6. There's our ratio in simplest form. 26, 1 day to 54 minutes. So let's start with minutes. So I got 54 on this side. Here we go. 1 day times 24 hours. That gives me 24. Times 60. I believe that gives me 1,440. So the question is, what do we do to simplify that? I'm going to try, let's see, I'm going to try by 6. So 54 divided by 6 is 9. 1,440 divided by 6 is 240. Oh, I can do, I think, by 3 here. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8 with the 0. That gives me 80. I cannot divide that by 3 anymore. So here is my answer in simplest form. Okay, let's talk of the word problem. It took Jane 1 hour and 20 minutes to do her math homework, while it took Ava just 45 minutes. Find the ratio of time it took Jane to do her homework to the time that it took Ava. So we're going to do Jane to Ava. Now, Ava's already 45 minutes, so let's put Jane into minutes. 1 hour is 60 minutes plus 20. That gives me 80. Let's divide them by 5. Let's see, 45 divided by 5 is 9. 80 divided by 5 is 16. I do believe that is the lowest that it will go. So your homework now is 5.1 homework in Go Formative right after this. The first ones are problems that we saw in 5.1a and 5.1b. And then the second half is the conversions that we did in this one. Please message me if you have any questions. Otherwise, 5.1 homework is your assignment. Have a great week.